Let's imagine for a second that we're living 100,000 years ago. There are no books, no science, no Google. There's just you and your small tribe trying to survive. The world is a loud, confusing, and often terrifying place. A lightning bolt splits a tree in half. The ground suddenly shakes violently. Your friend, who was healthy yesterday, gets the fever and is gone a week later. None of it makes sense. And as humans, we hate things that don't make sense. Our brains are wired to find patterns, to find reasons. It's a survival skill. If you hear a branch snap in the woods, you don't think the wind did that. You think someone did that, or something did. Assuming there's a mind or a will behind an event kept us safe from predators. It's better to be jumpy and wrong than calm and eaten. We took this survival instinct and applied it to everything. The whole world became alive with intention. The roaring thunder wasn't just a weather event. It was the sound of an angry spirit in the sky. A river that flooded and ruined your camp wasn't just a natural disaster. The river spirit was displeased. This was likely our first attempt at explaining the world. We gave a face to the faceless forces of nature because it was less scary to deal with an angry spirit than to accept that terrible things could happen for no reason at all. It was a story we told ourselves to make the dark feel a little less empty. For a long, long time, this was enough. We lived in small groups where everyone knew each other. Your reputation was everything. People behaved because they were part of a community. But then, everything changed. We figured out farming. And with farming came surplus food, which meant more people. Small tribes swelled into villages, and villages exploded into the first cities. Suddenly, you're living alongside thousands of strangers. The old way of keeping order, where everyone knew your name, just didn't work anymore. How do you get thousands of people to agree on rules, to pay taxes, to build massive temples and not descend into chaos? You need a bigger story. A story so big and so powerful that everyone buys into it. And those old fireside tales about the spirits, they were the perfect raw material. People who were good at telling these stories, the shamans and priests, naturally became more important. They weren't just telling stories anymore. They were interpreting the will of the gods. They helped explain that the gods weren't just in the rivers and the sky. They were watching over the city. They cared about what you did. This idea was a revolution. It created a kind of invisible authority. You might be able to steal from your neighbor when no one is looking, but you can't hide from an all-seeing God. This became the ultimate glue for large-scale societies. It's no mistake that the first great empires, like in Egypt and Mesopotamia, were completely woven together with religion. The king was either a god himself or was chosen by the gods. The laws weren't just the king's ideas, they came directly from the heavens. Following the rules wasn't just a civic duty, it was a sacred one. The story had grown so powerful, it was now the blueprint for civilization itself. For a story to last this long, it has to do more than just keep people in line. It has to speak to our deepest human needs. And a religion evolved to provide powerful answers to the two questions that haunt every single one of us. What happens after we die? And is there any justice in this world? Life for most people throughout history has been incredibly hard. It was filled with pain, loss, and backbreaking work, and then it ended. Religion offered a breathtaking alternative. This life isn't the end. It's just a test, a brief chapter in a much longer story. Real life, the good part with no pain and reunion with loved ones, comes later. You can't underestimate how powerful that idea is. It gives hope in the face of despair. It provides meaning to suffering. It's a comforting thought that the universe isn't cold and indifferent, but that there's a plan, and your little life is a meaningful part of it. Then there's the problem of fairness. We all see it. Good people suffer, and terrible people seem to get away with everything. It feels wrong. Religion addresses this with the concepts of heaven and hell. It's the ultimate promise that the universe's books will eventually be balanced. Hell isn't just a scare tactic, It's a promise that every wrong will be punished. Every tyrant, every murderer, every person who caused pain will eventually get what they deserve. And heaven is the promise that every act of kindness, every quiet moment of suffering will be seen and rewarded. It's a deep-seated hope for ultimate justice in a world that often seems to have none. This combination of hope and justice made the story incredibly resilient. It became a core part of the human experience. It also helped build incredible communities. Sharing these deep beliefs creates a powerful bond, a sense of belonging to something much bigger than yourself. It gives you an us. This story gave us meaning, it gave us hope, and helped us build civilizations. But like any powerful tool, it also had unintended consequences, creating new problems that have shaped our history in profound ways. The strength of religion is that it provides answers, but sometimes those answers can become walls that block further questions. When a holy book is believed to contain all the truth you'll ever need, it can create a culture that values faith more than curiosity. The classic example is Galileo. In the 1600s, he used the newly invented telescope to gather evidence that the Earth was not the center of the universe. For the church at the time, this wasn't just an astronomical debate. Their entire worldview, which had provided stability and meaning to Europe for 1,000 years, was built on the idea of humanity being at the center of God's creation. Galileo's discovery threatened the whole story. And so, they chose the story over the evidence. They silenced him. It's a reminder that when we think we have all the answers, we often stop looking for them. Perhaps the most complicated consequence is about morality. We're often told that our sense of right and wrong comes from religion. But does it? Humans are social animals. Empathy, fairness, and a dislike of seeing others suffer seem to be baked into our DNA. We can understand that hurting someone is bad because we can imagine how it would feel. The challenge arises when a religious text or authority tells people to do something that goes against their natural empathy. Throughout history, sacred beliefs have been used to tell good, decent people that it's okay and even righteous to own another person, to treat women as second-class citizens, or to harm those who believe in a different God. It creates a really tricky philosophical puzzle. Is something good simply because a God commands it? Or does a God command it because it's already good? If it's good just because it's commanded, then anything could be good. Morality becomes arbitrary. But if it's commanded because it's already good, that suggests that goodness is something we can understand on our own through reason and empathy. It means that our own human heart is a pretty good moral compass. The danger is when a powerful story tells us to ignore that compass. So, what does this all mean? The story of religion isn't a simple one. It doesn't seem to be a lie deliberately crafted in a dark room, but rather a story that grew and evolved out of our deepest human needs. It started with our brain's attempt to find patterns in a chaotic world. It grew into a social glue that allowed us to build cities and empires. It gave us powerful answers to life's biggest questions, offering hope and a sense of justice. But it also, at times, stood in the way of progress and created deep divisions, allowing our natural empathy to be overruled by divine commands. Understanding this history doesn't take away from the comfort all community people find in their faith, but it does give us a new perspective. It shows us that the most powerful force in our world isn't something that was handed down from above, it's the stories we tell ourselves. And knowing that we are the storytellers gives us the power and the responsibility to decide which stories we want to carry into the future.